April the 24th is upon us. It's a beautiful Thursday morning here in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. Good morning and welcome to your perfect day start to the morning brief. I'm Chude.
Yes, indeed. It's great to be here once again. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to your perfect morning starter. I am Bukola Koka.
And I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. It's coming to the end of the month and another month will be upon us. That month is going to be the month of all the anniversaries of people that were elected in May 2023. Guys.
Well, the National Assembly will be in June of the next month, but of course, you know, May is a very important month, particularly for the executives. So we are counting down because this is midterm, really. And, you know, children are on holidays. And before they went on holidays, they brought their report sheets, right, to the parents and guardians and said, this is how well or otherwise I did. And, you know, for a lot of parents, that will determine the kind of treatment you give the child. And I don't mean that in a negative way. If you see that the child needs to buckle up, then you can use the holiday period to say, well, these are the areas, your math, your English and all of that. These are the areas you need to step up on. If you see the child is doing well, you consolidate on it. If the child is doing woefully, then you know that this holiday is not play. You are going to, you know, we're going to ensure that you learn these things from the scratch. And I think that's the same thing we should do for political office holders, particularly the ones we elected. This period should be a time we're looking at their result sheet and say, you didn't do well in this area, you have to do better, or we wield the big stick. Hey, when last did the people wield the big stick?
Quite a while, if you ask me, or if the people have ever wielded the big stick. But, you know, I like your allegory this morning, Kadi, and you know what we often say, that the morning shows the day. Yeah. When that child is going to excel at their performance, you would know, wouldn't you? Yes, indeed. It tells about preparation, it tells about commitment, it tells about diligence. It tells even about the midterm reports that come through before the final report at the end of the term, right? So what's the midterm report saying about your elected representatives as we look ahead into May the 29th and all of the anniversaries, June 12 as it approaches? Of course, you and I know what the report is saying, but there's a certain report that, you know, politicians, the media have been reflecting on in the last 6 hours or so. It's that report from Delta State about how the palm wine no longer has a compelling taste, hence the need for a change. Well, it didn't come as a shock. Yesterday I was asking Jeffrey, because Jeffrey has been diligent with, you know, taking a look at updates from that scene. And before the day broke, we knew where it was headed already. So, as one of the papers describes it today, it's a horrific, or if you like, an occult shock for the People's Democratic Party as they move the structure. And I recall an interview I had many years back. It's not a defection, it's a movement of government. So a movement of the entire structure of a state that is traditionally the PDP to the All Progressives Congress. And what does that say about the future of the PDP? What does that say even about the interactions between the ruling party and the main opposition party, particularly in the last couple of months? Perhaps many exchanges going on behind the scene, and maybe, as reports suggesting, there may be more surprises in the coming days. Jeffrey, I'd like to give you the floor to give us all of the inside stories.
I'm not surprised. I know that there are about 4 more governors that will defect. So if they don't defect, I will be surprised.
In body and in spirit, you know, some
I mean, literally. I'm not saying. I know across party lines about 4 governors will join the APC as we speak. I don't know how soon it's going to happen. If they don't, maybe something happened in between. So there's nothing surprising. Nothing can surprise me again in this politics. Nothing can surprise me. So it's within their rights to defect. It's within their constitutional boundaries to do all of that at the end of the day. But what I'm concerned about is the issue of, you know, spinelessness in opposition. That's why I see it. Democracy cannot survive without a viable opposition. So I'm so sorry, but our politics is not played by ideology. It's played by personal interest. So some of these guys are just trying to survive. When Bukola asked me yesterday, I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag because there's a direction the ones who are seeking re-election want to go. There's a direction those who stem and they're ending their term, they want to go. Everybody's trying to survive one way or the other. So I'm just looking at how we can make democracy stronger with a ruling party and an opposition party. That's basically for me. When I listened to our friend Charles Aniogo yesterday, to me it was just grasping at straws. You've defected, whatever reasons you gave, it was all over the place with the reasons. But the greatest friends of respect, that you don't even need a reason to defect, just defect in peace. don't explain to us why you're trying to defect, because, for instance, Oborowore, at the surface, there's really no reason we have seen for him to defect in that sense, but it's within his right to defect. So all of this, as I said, 4 more governors, 4, should be expected to defect. If they don't defect, maybe something happened in between. But it's going to be an interesting one. I just want democracy to survive, so we have an opposition and we have a ruling party. That way, the media is not going to do the yeoman's job of the heavy lifting all the time. So Nigerians got ready. 2027 election, let me tell you ahead of time, is going to be between APC and the Nigerian people. I'm sorry, forget the PDP, forget the Labour Party for now. They've not put their acts together yet.
Some members of the Labour Party are also defecting at the National Assembly level,
yes,
I believe.
Yes,
yeah.
But they say never say never. So you can,
for now, that's why I use the word for now.
Anyone
anything can change.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you what I know.
So never say never. Your options are still there on paper. Don't let this get to you. But obviously, that's what we're dealing with today, or part of what we're dealing with today. And I mean that not in the sense of dealing with it, just saying these are the issues that we're getting into.
But I'm happy we're smiling, because at least nobody's being killed. It's politicians doing what politicians
just doing what they say.
I like this. I like this kind of argument and debates.
Right.
Nobody's dying. As soon as somebody dies, it's a different kettle of fish.
So as you can tell, that's our first port of call this morning. It's a major shakeup in Delta State for the PDP and the APC. And hey, interesting days we're in right now. The Delta State Governor, Sheriff Oborowore, has officially moved to the APC, moved with the former governor. And he says by Monday, I would speak. And people are wondering, I mean, what more do we want to hear? So what more? We'll find out, and the reasons behind this, what this means for politics and governance in Delta State and maybe Nigeria at large. We'll touch on that this morning.
And in a polity where conversations are about 2027, whereas the real problems of insecurity and the harsh economy, continues to bite hard, how do you keep your head above water and sort of maintain a wealth mindset? Yeah. It's an important conversation to have, and we'll have someone who's an expert come to share their experience, something you don't want to miss.
Of course, that will not be all. We have several other things we'll be doing on the program today. We're going to bring you up to speed as it's breaking, but we're going to also be joined by a colleague, Chude. Yes, Chude is going to join us on the program today. He has something coming up. So we're going to chat about his journey and all of that, how he's doing, and one of our ventures on at the moment. So Chude will be joining us on the program. Chude Jideonwo.
Yeah.
I almost forgot this Sunday he will be on the program.
Absolutely.
But hey, I think we'll get to the papers first.
Yeah. So take a moment, and we'll take the dailies. Let's start with the Nigerian Tribune. Take a look at how the Nigerian Tribune captures all of the events, particularly the political move, why we joined APC. Delta Governor, Okowa, others. Very simple headline, but they explain us right there on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Explain how Ibadan PDP governors meeting aided exit. Senator Kawu dumps an NPP for APC in Kano. Edo LP Senator Imasuen set to defect to APC. 6-term Osun federal lawmaker, quits PDP. It's a page 3 read on the front page in the Nigerian Tribune. So.
We will go to the next paper, but I like that rider. After months of hide and seek. Did you see that line? After months of hide and seek, you say Delta Governor Oborowore Atiku's running mate Okowa finally joined APC after months of hide and seek. It's on the front page of This Nigeria.
So you're on This Nigeria now.
Okay. So let's go to this Nigeria. That was...
I love that one, Jeffrey.
Truly. So let's go to the front page of this Nigeria, by the way, which is one of the papers we're reviewing. So this is, yes, maybe I was ahead of myself, chasing Kayode back and forth. So Kayode, we're here now.
Hide and seek. You playing hide and seek.
So I like the way this Nigeria captures it. Terrific shock for PDP. I don't think PDP is actually shocked anyway. Delta Governor Oborowori Atiku's running mate Okowa finally joined APC after months of hide and seek. PDP palm wine lost its taste, says the government. VP Shetima to receive the campees. All of that will happen on Monday, I think, according to the announcement by the Delta State government. So for those of you who are just waking up to this, the Delta State Governor, Sheriff Oborowori, has been doing hide and seek for months now. We'll be hearing this and speculations and all of that. But by the way, a lot of the, I think literally all the APC, all the senators in the state are APC, literally all of them. So there's been, if you know how politics work, there's been that build-up here and there at the end of the day. So he knows best the reason why it's about, this game is about survival. So if he feels that he's going to survive for a second term by joining the APC, it's just that for me, I would have expected him to defect because we know this will happen. But the time he defects, this is just barely less than 2 years into his administration. So what is he afraid of? But maybe he wants to start early.
By some standards, you know, by some assessment of some people from that stage, you know, the report is that the governor is actually doing well in terms of infrastructure development and changing the face of Asaba, the state capital. So your question is valid, really.
Yeah.
But Jeffrey, we shouldn't be surprised, particularly, you know, when we consider events of 2022, when Governor Wike led the G5, you know, governors. The lead governors of parties are literally leaders in their own right. So when they carry out a resistance move like that, it is shaking the very foundations of the party. And we can go way back to 2013 as well, you know, to recall similar events. But let's take a look at another paper this morning. The Vanguard would be an interesting one as well. This time around, okay, it shows a different part from slightly different part. Take a look at the headline: 2027, Tinubu tightens grip on Southeast, South-South in gale of defection. So it's choosing to look at it with different lens. So let's take a look at the riders. There are a host of them. Oborowori Okowa, PDP stakeholders join APC. Happenings in PDP made us defect. Really? Let's take a look at some more riders this morning. Governor Eno denies dumping PDP. Well, Jeffrey has your answer to that. Ebonyi Ayin, ex-PDP state chairman, moved to APC. 150 PDP LP members join APC in Enugu. Really? Delta is finally APC. Keyamo here, we heard him celebrating yesterday. There's more. Attempts to turn Nigeria to one-party state will fail. Well, that's not happening. I think it's succeeding. PDP leaders defecting due to EFCC probe. Momodu, we heard him on our sister political program yesterday saying quite a lot that may be forming the reasons for this defection that we cannot ignore. Well, that's it from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Quite a number of other stories.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Nigerian News Direct this time around. And focuses on something very important, perhaps more important, really. You see Tinubu orders overhaul of national security strategies, says enough is enough. Reads riot act to security heads over killings in Benue, Plateau, Borno. I think there was Kwara mentioned there as well. So page 3 on the Nigerian News Direct. All of the politics being played, if it doesn't lead to the security, welfare of the people, then we can say that that politics has failed, really, because that's the essence of governance, politics, to ensure security, welfare of the people. So this is the big picture. This should be the big story right now, but naturally, the movement of the Delta State governor to APC also gives you that political...
I just remembered, before I just go, I remembered that Bukola was talking about Wike leading his governor friends against his own party.
That's G5.
G5. Rivers governors have been known for that. Amechi did it. He led 5 governors out of the party. Wike was even kind. He left them in the party, but they worked against their own party. We'll be back after this break to bring you more. Join us again. All right, let's get to it, Bukola.
We're spoiled for choice this morning as far as trends are concerned, but
maybe we start from that very first one to that clarification by the governor.
Okay.
Of Niger State.
Niger State governor.
Indeed. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
So we'll check. Yesterday we talked about the governor's decision to cut dreadlocks. He said what he said. Now he said that's not what he meant. But let's take a listen to, will I call it a rebuttal or clarification in this sense? Let's watch.
On hooliganism, and people misconstrued our words for people who have dreadlocks. We don't have problem with dreadlocks, but we have problem with the cult here with dreadlocks. So if you have dreadlocks and you have business, please come to Niger State. All that is a media propaganda. We are not driving dreadlocks from Niger State. We are only driving that cult that is.
All right. So, Mr. Governor, sorry, it's not a media propaganda. You said what you said. We heard what we heard. What we expected you to have done, Governor Umabago, is to apologize for whatever you... Maybe you wanted to say it differently, but it came out the way we saw it. So there's no media propaganda. Nobody twisted your words. You said, well, if you see them with dreadlock in Mina, arrest them, cut the hair, or barb, use the word barb.
Yeah. Find them.
Arrest the barber.
Arrest the barber, cut the hair, and find them. So there's no media propaganda. You can't twist it. You said what you said. So I expected you to have apologized or explain yourself differently, but saying it's media propaganda, that's on you. There's no way you can rebut that.
And I think it's really unfair to say that. What we did was really report, except you're referring to other people, but what we did was report what you said as you said it and got responses from Nigerians. And you know, when they said that the Mina airport is an alternative to Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport in Abuja, a lot of people are worried that if they divert if they say you land in Mina and you have locks, for example, would I be in trouble? So he had to quickly make that clarification because it's bad for business. It's bad for, I mean, people
it wasn't well thought through.
Exactly. So I think that's how you should have said it in the first place. We're here for the good of Niger State and Niger people. We understand you have security challenges, and you said it, that some of them carry locks. But it's important to contextualize it rather than make that sweeping statement.
Well, we're grateful for the clarification. At least we now see the story in context. There is a cult, according to what the governor said, that, you know, goes with locks in Niger State, and that is what they're after. And we can see that the governor has issued some other stringent, you know, measures as far as security is concerned. Some of them are also debatable as far as they infringe on fundamental human rights of persons. For instance, if you're bailing someone who has been caught with kidnapping or something, you will also be arrested also. I'm not quite sure what those measures are, but I'm hearing also that there are more stringent measures from Niger State. We need more of that resolve and strength of character from governors in terms of how they approach tackling security. And of course, they need to also hold the federal government to account in terms of the need to provide reinforcement, recruitment for the police force in their states of the federation. The politicking as far as security is concerned is doing more harm than good in states. And we can see it playing out in Benue, in Plateau, in other states of the federation. But let's go on with the trends this morning. What are you saying about this story?
I think we'll go to the next video. I think there's a video that has to do with persons, a motorist lying under a car to resist arrest by VIO. This is a common scene in Lagos. So let's take a look at this particular video as well. So I'm sure you would have seen this kind of situation. So I guess the VIO, they are confused as how to navigate this part. They don't want to hurt the guy. The guy is not ready to go anywhere. Well, this is a common sense. I'm even suspecting he may be nude in that sense. He may not be wearing anything.
Because we've seen that time and again.
Yeah, we've seen that time and again. So interesting scene in Lagos. But I think we want to commend the maturity of the VIO officials in handling this particular situation. We don't know how it ended, but we just wanted you to see that this is also Lagos.
And we must say that we need to really pay attention to the worthiness of vehicles, commercial vehicles particularly, because, hey, you can't take it away from the fact that VIO needs to do its job as well. Yes, there are some excesses from time to time, but this is a major issue. Was this vehicle roadworthy? If it wasn't, well, yes, you can lay on the floor and all of that, but action should be taken at the end of the day. Let's move on now away from road transport now to water transport. Well, a ferry from Ikorodu to Lekki broke down due to fuel shortage. And yeah, this is not a tourist trip. This is not some sort of sightseeing for the waters. You can see the passengers right there speaking about what exactly happened. So let's take a listen.
There's no fraud, yeah. Kò sépo ni. Àwọn ni wọ́n pe number ọ̀dọ̀ yín pé number wọn ò lọ. So I don't know the thing. Ọ̀nà guy.
Ẹ máa mọ̀ pé ẹ̀ lépo ẹ̀ máa waste àwọn risk life yìí. Olú ẹ̀ wà láàrin omi ẹ̀sìn ṣé lépo wà láàrin omi.
Okay,
we need to translate this.
So Bukana and Kaide are laughing. I have no idea what she's saying. So
all right, let's try to translate. So the lady first started by saying, if I had known that is this man's ferry, apparently maybe it's notorious for that, I would have jumped in the first place. She says, where would we find a filling station? So it's a serious issue, but the way she spoke about it, you know, I'm sorry we're laughing, but you know, and it goes to the comments. The first one saying that they are so calm. Their calmness should be studied.
Yes. They need to be calm. Because I think I also heard one of the passengers say, where do we alight here?
What option do we have, right?
Oh dear.
Okay.
Pardon us, we're laughing, but you know, it's funny.
I hope they got to land safe.
Certainly,
and all of that.
We hope so. But it also speaks to, you know, what we're experiencing as far as transportation is concerned. The other day was a train, you know, that broke down somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and we saw passengers alighting and walking, you know, right beside bushes in what seems to be reminiscent, fearfully so, of experiences from the past. And you know, this is certainly not a bitter taste in the mouth as far as transportation is concerned. Okay. Let's go on to the next one.
Yeah, let's head out to the Pope will be buried. The Pope died on Easter Monday. Pope Francis he will be buried on Saturday. So there has been this procession, but the presidential candidate of the Labour Party had actually gone to part of the activities lined up ahead of that funeral. So that's Peter Obi. I think that should be Cardinal Arinze, who is not going to be part of the conclave this time because he's over 80 years old. I think it's about 92 or so. It's only persons below 80 that will be. So that's
we have 16 Africans that will be part of that conclave, and one of them is from Nigeria. That would be Archbishop Opaleke, who would also be part of you know, the conclave that will be voting, you know, to elect a new pope. And there are projections that we just might have the first leader of the Vatican from Africa. That's not certain yet, but such projections, you know, are worth considering looking at.
Well, so everybody's hopeful. Asia, Americas again, Nigeria, Africa.
Yeah.
They're all hopeful that the next pope. But what we want is a good pope at the end of the day. We just want a good pope that represents the faith. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back after this break, it's going to be time for us to talk about what happened in Delta State yesterday. The defection of Governor Sheriff Uborowori, former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, who was a vice presidential candidate, as well as other persons in the party in the state. Join us again.
Well, let's get right into the first conversation of the day. Yes, it's that big story. The defection of Delta State Governor and his predecessor from the People's Democratic Party to the ruling APC. Again, the former governor was a vice presidential candidate of the PDP in the last election. So for someone that weighty in that sense to move to the APC, well, you know that a lot of things are going on. We're joined, as you can see, by the SSA to the APC National Chairman on Local Government Affairs, Mr. Norbert Sochukwudima, joins us from our Abuja studio. We're also meant to be joined by a member of a government in Asaba, in Delta, from Asaba, that is, but at this point hasn't joined us just yet. But Mr. Sochukwudima, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm sure you're excited. I could tell from the look on your face, that smile on your face. People are saying, God bless PDAPLNP. It's just a merger of all of the political parties. But the challenge here is that there are fears that Nigeria may be moving to a one-party state. I know, again, that is like kudos to you. But speak to this, Mr. Sochukwudima. This is the PDP that your party has described as a problem. In fact, your party came to power on the back of what has been described as the failures of the PDP. So now we're seeing a lot of the people in that PDP in the APC. So is the APC now the problem?
Yeah, thank you very much, my dear brother. Before I will quickly respond to that question, I want to seize this opportunity to welcome my governor, the governor of Delta State, Governor Sheriff, the former governor, Governor Kowa, and all the leaders of PDP that have moved into APC. You're all highly and warmly welcome. From what you said, the APC is not a problem. And the issue of the one-party system, I must say with all sincerity, is not a problem of APC. As a party, what we are doing under the leadership of my boss, the national chairman of APC, Dr. Ganduje, is to see that our party gets better and formidable every day. And the law, like you rightly said before, gives right to anybody to move into. As a party, we want as many people as possible. Now they have left PDP to come to the progressives. If there were anything they used to do in the PDP that we had frowned at, believe me, they have come to APC, that will completely change by the special grace of God. And I'm really excited.
How are you sure of that, Mr.
Many
Sochukwudima?
people in Delta State.
When you said that would change, pardon me to button, yes. When you said that would change, how are you sure? Did you do some sort of baptism? Are they born again? Did you? I don't understand. How do you say that will change? Because it's the same people that you described as corrupt, that dragged Nigeria down. So was there baptism or something?
Now, the All Progressives Congress as a party has its standard and way of doing things. Those who have come to join us will align with the positive things we've been doing. And I must confess to you that Governor Sheriff, in fairness to him, for the period of time he has governed Delta State, hasn't done badly. There is a project, signature project, that is doing from Kwale to Oxoro via Ughelli to Warri. That project started some years ago. He inherited it. And I passed there. Recently, I went to Delta North stakeholders meeting at Kwale, and I saw the wonderful job that has been done there. That is impressive for me. And I believe, I listened to my big brother, Chasaneago, talk yesterday, and he mentioned that one of the things that prompted their joining APC is the governance, the leadership of our father, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And what his development and good governance is bringing to Delta State. That when Delta is APC and working with President Tinubu, all it will bring is good governance, wonderful development, and the welfare of our people. So those who have moved and those of us who have received them with joy, is all about our people. It's all about our people, and change is constant. If there is anything anyone has been doing that wasn't real good, and you have opportunity to change all that, you will do it. That is what we do. So we are very, very happy, and I must appreciate greatly Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. He's been a huge blessing to APC since he emerged as our national chairman. It's been win all the way. Win election, win governors. We've been praying. We've been in opposition for a period of time, doing all effort to see that Delta State comes to the center. For the past 2-3 elections, it didn't work. But as God may have it, today I'm happy, so glad that Delta is APC. So we are going to work together with our brothers, the governor, and all that have come. Work closely together. You say two good heads are better than one. When we put heads together, bring all our positive sides together, you see Delta State will be best for it. And Nigeria at large will also be best for it. So it's a wonderful development. It's a great one, I must confess.
All right, Mr. Norbert, I will say congratulations to you. Now you have a governor in your fold. Delta State is primarily and fundamentally a PDP
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend.
A PDP state. So I'm sure all of you in the APC are happy.
It used to be.
Okay. Well, my question will be, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, our political parties, whether it's APC, PDP, Labour, NNPP, the list is on. It's not driven by ideology. These are all issues around personal interests. But I want you to speak as a politician. So I will ask you a political question, not necessarily as APC or all of that. So this is a concern when I hear people say, let's align with the center. What does that even mean when you talk about aligning the center? Does it affect? So when Governor Borowore, since he's the one we're speaking about, being in the PDP did not affect his FAC allocation. Being in the PDP did not affect his IGR. Being in the PDP did not affect his governance system in any shape or form. You have alluded to the fact that he's done some things. So what is this narrative and rhetorics when politicians come on TV or at podium to say, we want to align with the center? What does that even mean in English?
Okay. You know, as a political party, APC is different from PDP. Even without conceding that you said no ideology but interest. If a political party at the state level that governing a particular state is different from the one that is governing at the center, the federal government, most cases, because of the politics that we play in this part of the world and even other parts of the world, that opposition, that this is my party and that is the party, will not give them the level of cooperation that is needed. It's much more easy. It's quite easier when the state and the federal are in the same party, controlled, and that ideology, because as APC as a party will have ideology, that ideology I will have. That's why I said, if there were a few things our governor and the members of PDP weren't doing well before joining us, having joined us now, those things will change to the positive. That's the benefit of being at the center, because what is happening at the federal, the reforms, the policies, there will be no desire for the state government, who is the same political party, to want to begin to antagonize, criticize unnecessarily the government at the center. That is what it means. It doesn't mean that necessarily mean because you are not APC, that you will now be deprived of anything that it's due you as a state government. No. But when you are in the same political party, there will be a flow. The ideology will be there. Whatsoever the government is
Mr. Norbert, my apologies, sir. If you can hear me, sir.
They are preview to what the plans of the party is. Yeah.
If you can hear me. So I've listened to you. You still haven't convinced me. I'll give you a Bola Tinubu, for instance. Whatever Bola Tinubu did, the president, now president, even when he was a governor, was the last man standing. Not that, in fact, the federal government denied him allocation. And he still did the little he did with Lagos to draw the roadmap that he's being credited for today. So it's really not about alignment for any other reason than this looks like a survival game, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the instance you gave, and you were spot on when you said that he was even denied allocation. Thank God that it's not that thing that happened when President Bola Tinubu, who was governor of Lagos State, was denied allocation, is no longer happening. But it's one of the things that will happen if you don't have a good leader as president. But when you are on that point, the same level, I don't see it as survivor, honestly. What I see is putting the people first. The governor of Delta State, former Governor Kowa, and all the leaders of the PDP, and those of us, the leaders of APC, the likes of Chief Hyacint Enuha, Festus Keyamo, and host of others, our senators, who are happy that the governor and the PDP people have moved, is because of the interest of Deltans, all Deltans, especially the downtrodden, so that there will be cooperation. By the special grace of God, next election 2027, God keeps us alive. There's not going to be struggle. There will be no bitterness. There will be no fight. Every one of us will have concerted effort, putting heads together to see that Delta becomes our dream, the best.
Mr. Chukwudima, your position is still a hard sell as far as the interest of Deltans is concerned, because we didn't see the interest of we didn't see the Deltans themselves consulted yesterday at that meeting. What we saw were party leaders of the PDP in Delta State who came out of the meeting and gave that decision. But you know, some have said that this is about survival. Even members of the party, Mr. Momodu spoke extensively yesterday on our sister political program, that these governors are being intimidated and their survival is being weaponized when you consider what the president has done with the declaration of a state of emergency in River State. And as a matter of fact, there is even a reference by him to the need for the survival of the political godfather, you know, with this defection. And we're considering the EFCC's probe of the former governor, Ifeanyi Okowa, in this case. And one of your party leaders, in fact, your former chairman, had been quoted to have said in the past that when you come to the APC, your sins are forgiven you. So is this the main or the significant part of the motivation for this defection? And after this, are we not going to hear anything about that EFCC probe of former governor Ifeanyi Okowa again?
Yeah, I must reiterate that what has happened in Delta State yesterday, I'm a Deltan, that's my place, is in the best interest of Deltas. Now, you were right when you said leaders of PDP were the ones consulted. Before that meeting of yesterday, there have been meetings at various levels, local level, talking to the people, sensitizing them. And believe me, all those who were at that meeting yesterday are representatives of people, Deltans. And we who are leaders of APC, who are also in this and are happy about it, are leaders of Deltans. So having said that, currently, an immediate past governor who is an APC member is facing EFCC trial. So I don't agree at all that moving into a APC will stop whatever trial you have with AFCC. No, I've not seen that happen, and I don't think it will happen under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the current administration that we're in. I don't expect that, and I don't agree with that. People have their opinions, like the Oga you mentioned, Dele Momodu, he has right to his opinion, but you know, PDP has issue. That was what my big brother Charles Anago pointed out. The taste of the wine changed. And the only option they have is to let this go and go to a better place where things will be better done. So I don't think it's about survival. No, it's about the interest of the people. If they had remained in the PDP, there are chances they will continue to fight and have trouble because there's no leadership there. If you come to the APC, the leadership of Dr. Ganduje and our father, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has stabilized everything. Whenever you see crisis in APC, it's nipped in the bud. But in the PDP, see the crisis they've been having fighting that will not end. So I do not see that survivor, but going in the right direction to lead the people. I'm excited. You know why? We are going to work together, closely together. There's not going to be opposition. Everybody will bring the best of ideas so that Deltans will enjoy.
With all of us talk about palm wine and the love for it, and I hope no one is planning to, get drunk on it and just focus on governance. But we have to wind down now. Who's the leader of the APC in Delta State? Is it former Governor James Ibori? Is it former Deputy Senate President Omar Agege, or the governor?
Yeah, many leaders, great leaders.
No, who is the leader?
I mentioned one particular. You said?
Who is the leader of the APC in Delta State now? Former Governor James Ibori, Senator Omar Agege, or the governor?
By the virtue of the entrance of the governor, as it is practiced in our political party, but that Governor Sheriff, also know that he has leaders, like former Governor Okowa, former Governor James Ibori, and even my leader, Chief Hysen Tenuha, is the founding father of APC in Delta North. But Governor Sheriff, being an incumbent governor, will play great role as regards the leadership of Delta APC going forward.
All right, so you confirm that Mr. James Ibori is now in the APC?
Mr. James Ibori, to the best, Chief James Ibori, a great leader that we know in Delta, to the best of my knowledge, is not yet a member of the APC, to the best of my knowledge.
All right, we have to thank you so much, Mr. Norbert Sochokudima, SSA to APC National Chairman on Local Government Affairs. Thank you for your time. I wish you the very best, particularly with the palm wine conversation. Thank you.
Nobody will get drunk. Thank you.
Let's hope so.
Cheers.
Well, we'll take a quick break now, and when we return, let's talk about your mindset, particularly when it comes to wealth creation. There's still a lot on the table for you today, so stay with us.
So away from all of that conversation about politics to you, how are you surviving amid all of this? Particularly because the realities of politicking is staring you and I in the face, i.e. inflation, the economic downturn. So how do you keep your head above water and maintain a steady, comfortable account balance with what you're doing legitimately? Let's have this conversation. And joining us on this segment, we have Monfik Ryan Abu. She's a life sync expert, coach, author, and founder, Ryan Inspires Consulting Limited. She's right here in our Lagos studio, looking resplendent in her attire. We also have, sitting right beside her, Mr. Ugochukwu Omeogu, the premium business strategist and mentor. He's also founder, Merignos Consulting and Mentoring. He's also here in our Lagos studio. Good morning, lady and gentleman. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you for
So let's start this way. Trying to get into the minds of those who may be watching, who are doing one thing or the other legitimately. I look through the list of leading businesses in Nigeria. There's digital marketing, there's fashion designing, just to mention two. But when you consider these business ideas as well, there are the obvious challenges in the way of those who may be trying to navigate and trying to, keep their head above water and maintain some profit. What would you say to those who are, in different businesses? I'm starting with you now, Monfik. What would you say to them at the startup level, about the things that they need to consider to steady their boat before they begin to make profit?
What I would say to them is that they need to look at the value that they're creating, because wealth is really about the exchange of value. It's not about money making, because you can make money and you can lose money. But wealth is about abundance of resources, of value creation, of opportunities for you to be able to earn money repeatedly over a long period of time. That's what wealth is. So what I would tell them is, what's the value that you're creating that makes you distinct or unique from the competition? What are you bringing forward that makes that will enable you to stand out above the rest? Then how dedicated and committed are you to the needs of your clients? Because some businesses, their follow-up system is not encouraging, especially in Nigeria. It's just about everything is transactional. But when you look at the value you're creating, you are considering the needs of your customers above all else. That follow-up will be front and center in everything that you're doing, and that value you're bringing will always make you stand out uniquely. And also, most especially, what is really your mindset about that opportunity or that thing that you're doing? Because for wealth to come, it's a mix of your mindset and your skill set. Then you need to have the right tool set to enable you to jet set to the wealth that you want to earn. So some of these things, or all of it combined, is what I would advise them to consider at this point of startup. It's not about just the product you have alone. It's about, does it meet the need in the marketplace? What's the unique value you're creating? And how committed are you to be able to do something to wow your customers and follow up with them when the need arises? Yes.
Skill set, mindset, and the value. Those are critical tips. Yeah. But let's look at getting there in the first place. Some would say that you may not necessarily be able to steady your ship as an entrepreneur, but you have to first of all build the financial wherewithal as an entrepreneur, which is what Jeffrey, Kadi, and I are. Now, Ugochukwu, I'd like you to speak to that. Is that true? Where do you need to wait until you have the capital working as an entrepreneur first before you become an entrepreneur and be able to add all of those value that Monfik has talked about?
Okay, well, brilliant question. I think the problem is that a lot of entrepreneurs don't know that wealth is a science. It's not a guesswork, okay? It's just like you go to school for 5, 6 years to become a medical doctor, you go to law school to become a lawyer. It's the same way with wealth. When people start businesses, they don't get coaching, they don't get mentorship. They use their common sense without knowing that not business has to do with sophistication of knowledge. So first, it's about identifying that you have something to give first. It's not about how much you want to take from the market. It's about how much you want to give to the market. What are the gifts you have? What are the services you want to provide? Once you identify them, that gives you a posture to know that the market survives because you are there. That's the first instance. And the second instance is people think that money that they make is for expenses. Meanwhile, money that you make is to be multiplied before you spend it. So a lot of entrepreneurs are so passionate about making money, but in their mind, they think that if they make the money right away, they go into expenses mode. So many people have seen that I've complained about the economy. If I bring their bank statement, they have made so much money the last 5 years that if they had multiplied that money while they're making the money, they wouldn't have an issue at the present state. So I think the overreaching philosophy about wealth creation in terms of for entrepreneurs is to understand that wealth goes through 5 stages. Okay, the first stage is how can I bring money through my value, stage 1. But when money comes in, you're not thinking about expenses, you're thinking about how can I preserve the money. That's the second stage. But most people don't go beyond the first stage. They make money, they spend it. They make money, they spend it. And then when situations change, they become desperate without knowing that situations will always come. So, but if you make preservations for the money, even when the situations come, you have enough to take care of it so that the situation will not last to the point that it makes it very terrible, okay? So if they understand that money is meant to be preserved and multiplied before you spend it, a lot of entrepreneurs won't have issues with what they're complaining at the material time that they're talking about it.
So let's talk about, let's piggyback from where you landed, Monfik. Let's talk about what people can begin to do differently in terms of housekeeping. Because what he's primarily talking about is basic housekeeping, the books, whether it's the big boys will call it a statement of financial position, statement of profit and loss, statement of cash flow, all of the big grammar. But the small businessman is a different kettle of fish because it just wants to survive. So A lot of people now are just trying to get by given how harsh the economy is, and you're still telling them to preserve a few for the future. But I'm more concerned about transgenerational wealth, building from ground zero upwards to where it can be transferred from one generation to the other. So from where you sit, for businesses that are small and that are coming up, what are the basics they can do in terms of housekeeping, in addition to what he has said, that will keep them afloat, say, for the first milestone of 5 years?
You need to really not just understand the service you want to render. You need to understand how to make, don't understand only, I want to make money. You need to look at how can I make the money work for me. That's the main thing, really. So when you are in business and you earn something, how do you multiply that earnings? What kind of financial plan do you have as a person? Like he said, people make money, then they spend it. That's the average mentality. All of us have fallen guilty to it. When I was in the bank for 13 years, we earn and we spend. We earn and we spend. Most of us spend all the salary before it's payday. We do IOU, IOU, IOU before it's payday. So fundamentally, financial literacy is really what is lacking in the wealth building process. And financial literacy enables you to understand how to make money work for you, not just you working for money. So how to make money work for you, first of all, when you have made your money for the month, what percentage do you keep to learn about making money, first of all? How many people invest in personal growth and professional growth? Very few people. They say common sense is not always common practice. Like he said, most people think, I have this idea, I'm going into the market and I'm going to do this business. No, that's just a small part of the entire thing. You need to look at this, I have this idea, how do I build up on this idea? Because one idea stacks up into the next. That's one thing. Another thing, you need to know that the solution that you're providing, once you provide a solution for one person, it opens up more problems. Let's look at our phones, for example. You are both holding your phones. Now this phone, we buy the phone, the iPhone, we anticipate buying the iPhone. It's a huge investment. After you buy the iPhone, the body is made of glass most of the time. It's so fancy. You need to put what? A phone cover. Then you look at the screen, you need to put a screen protector. So what service are businesses offering? The average entrepreneur, how do you know that, okay, this service, I've provided it, but when I serve this customer and they're satisfied, they may need an enhancement. They may need a bonus. They may need an upgrade. Like us in the coaching space, we will come in with a simple product at first, maybe just one-on-one coaching. From there, we upgrade you to a full coaching program that you can be with us for a long period of time. Then we upgrade you to something else, mentorship and things like that. So when you look at how to make money work for you, learning, investing, financial literacy, and also knowing how to stock your products and your services so that you graduate an average customer that bought one product from you to now buy more from you, I think those are two avenues that will enable you to be able to really have that building up on your wealth portfolio over time.
So what are the dashboard? Okay, in addition to what she's saying, yeah, I just want to add a question.
I totally disagree. There's something like SMEs. I think there are no petty trading. There are petty traders.
What do you mean by that?
No trading is petty. Because for every donut you see a big factory for Nestle. For every small business on the street, there's equivalent of that in multinationals. Yeah. So businesses don't fail, people fail. People don't fail, they just don't have enough knowledge to create the result they want. So when I say SMEs, somehow it constricts the entrepreneur to think that it's a small and medium scale business. But meanwhile, all the big businesses you see today started as small businesses. So your first step could be a small step, but your idea is a big idea. So I think the main challenge is to work on the mind of the entrepreneur to see that this little step should be about a big outcome. In that way, you take away the SME construction that limits the capacity of the individual to harness the big market. So that's a fundamental mindset that needs to be changed. For example, there are no bad businesses. There's only bad business orientation. The same business you complain that it's not working, someone else is making a kill in the same business. For every pure water you see on the road, like a bottle, like waterproof water, there's a Nestle beside it. It's the same industry, different orientation. So first of all, if the mindset of the entrepreneur is not taken care of, it doesn't matter the type of idea you give to the person cannot grow beyond the quality of the mind that he has.
So are you saying it's guaranteed that the mindset is completely shifted?
Yes.
The business or whatever enterprise that person is involved in will succeed?
Absolutely.
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 That is debatable, by the way, but it's a position.
Well, yeah, debatable, but let's now look at the next level from that, which would be the tools that they need for positioning to get the required venture capital to scale up. And when you get to that level, there are a number of bottlenecks, you know, from the banks, the high interest rate, the need for presentation of collateral, which some of these businesses do not have. And they may have that mindset that they require. Talk to them about how to navigate that. And while you're doing that, Monfik, this is for you now. I'd like you to also speak to those businesses that are getting the venture capital that is required to scaling up, and why are they getting it, so that those SMEs can be equipped with the knowledge that you say that they should seek.
Yeah. So like you said, and I totally agree, everything starts with the mindset. I believe that wealth building is not about currency, it's about identity. So when it comes to venture capitalists, for example, I started my coaching business on zero. Like, I didn't have any capital, but I had an idea. And I was able to build up on that idea and create coaching programs. And I knew the value that I carried. So when I approach my clients, I come from that value creation piece. You know, you need to know what is lacking for the client that you can meet at the middle and be able to expand on it. So from now, I've been able to raise enough capital, and I'm continuing to build my business. I've written 3 books. This is the 3rd one. From there, from that idea, and I'm building up on that. So I would say that we need to really believe in our idea. We have to have an identity that looks at not our vicinity alone, but knowing that our internal mind is bigger than any external situation that we face. It's not about your situation, it's about your experience. How do you determine that this situation is bad, but you're going to bring out a good outcome from it? Because we cannot control what happens, but we can control how we react. And that's why the mindset is such an important piece in all this. Then for venture capitalists or entrepreneurs that are able to get those capital, what I know that they do, because we all attend networking events, we go for business seminars, we see all of these things, they have this best practice standards. Most businesses start with a small mindset and they make themselves small. That's why he's debunking this whole perspective of small and medium enterprises, because there's nothing small about our mind. God has created us to be bigger. God has created us to create things. So we are bigger than we think we are. On the average, every person, however you think you are, I will bet you, and I will be 100% correct, that you are bigger than you think you are. All you need is to get a coach, get somebody to unpack your value that you carry, and you will see how big you are. So if they could
give us specifics now for those who have to, cross those hurdles of collateral, high interest rates, specifics. Yes. How do they navigate?
Yes, what they need to do, they have to really, for the idea, like if I want to use my book, for example, I want to get this book maybe into 20 countries. I would need capital for that. I need to make sure that all the sales that I've made of this book so far is properly documented. All my invoices are sorted. Every client must have receipts. I have to have my accounting systems foolproof. As a business owner, even if I'm making small money, I have to always be talking to an accountant to get my books in order. These venture capitalists, that is what they look at first and foremost, not just your idea, but how good are your books? And can you have like a a forecast, a business forecast to say in 5 years, this is the income that I'm going to bring in. In 10 years, this is the income I'm going to bring in. You do a 3-year cash flow analysis. When you have that and you give it to the venture capitalists, whether you have an office or you don't have an office, if your books are good, everything is accountable. And if you are in a product service where you have to have your inventory is accounted for, your suppliers, your receivables, you can be able to calculate everything in a proper way. Those are the things that will enable you to get that capital that you need.
Let's also expand the conversation. So let's agree that all the books are sorted to the extent of the knowledge of the individual involved in running that business. So let's take on a business, for instance, wholesale or maybe drop shipping, in that sense that has cut out inventory management. So basically sales and marketing, and there's so much noise. Cracking through that noise is a big question. So if somebody was to come to you and said, I have this idea, I've been running with it, and I can reposition the fortune of my business one way or the other, but what I find as a challenge is the marketing element to drive the sales I need. What will you tell the person in this age of social media?
Okay, just to go back a little bit, I worked at JP Morgan Chase Bank, okay, as an investment banker, right? And we did a research, and we found out that as of 2004, 2005, we were recording about 13,000 Americans who are making $1 million for their first time. That's young, new startup, hitting $1 million, as their first break. Now, when we dug deeper, we found out that it was mentorship that was the key factor. And we found that there was about 4,500 mentoring hubs in the United States. The reason that was because people who are successful in business will come back and help those who are starting. So what took Bill Gates 15 years can take someone 2 years to start, because mentorship closes that gap, okay? So, but the concept of marketing and sales, it's also misunderstood. When you talk about a product, a service, you are hawking, you're not making sales. But when you talk about an idea of why the product was built, you are selling. So you sell ideas, you hawk products. When people buy an idea of a product, they will keep on buying that product even if it changes the forms. For example, if you buy a Mercedes, 90% of the time you're not buying the car, you're buying the idea of what Mercedes represents. So you are proud of Mercedes, not because of...
Sorry for cutting you. When people say, is it also wrong to have the motivation for going into business to be money? I just want to make money. Is there a crime in that?
It's wrong, because money is only a measure of how much value has been exchanged.
Because I doubt whether a lot of the people, some of the people we know, are really altogether because they love all of us. If they love all of us, they are giving us these things free, yeah, right?
Yes, money is an outcome for value exchange. So even if you love money, it's a shadow, because money was invented for the purpose of exchange of value. The reason why money came into existence is because value needs to be exchanged. So if you take away value out of the equation, money will not come. So it doesn't go to those who desire it, it only goes to those who create value. So once you talk about money, it's supposed to be an inevitable outcome for the purpose of exchanging value. Matter of fact, if your concept of money is not right, no matter how much you chase it, you won't have it. Every day people come out. Both the poor and the rich are working hard every day. But why is that the rich have it? It's the same sun, the same moon that we are all under. So your concept of money will determine how much of that money you're going to have. If you see money as only a database to measure how much value is exchanged, you'll focus more on value and the money will come. So fall in love with money without understanding how it comes, we still won't make you get it.
And I guess you also have to be passionate about that value.
Yes.
But in order for this not to be an academic exercise, and your last word now, Monfig, I'd like you to speak to the other end of the challenge, which would be the enabling environment, and that's the responsibility of government. We had, a caterer the other day in the food sector who said there are so many bottlenecks in terms of taxes, rates that they have to pay, and they've moved online because on ground it's not profitable. So those are the realities. Speak to people who may be in that value chain, to the government now in terms of policy as we wind down.
Yeah. We cannot control what happens with politics, and I would say it more like an encouragement to the entrepreneurs out there. It's always a hope that the government considers the needs of the populace, but most of the time, as we know in Nigeria, And that's why a lot of people keep leaving the country, because those enabling conditions are absent. So I would encourage people to try to have that flexibility in their business idea and learn different ways that they can pivot and they can detour when necessary. They shouldn't be, nothing is cast on stone. It mustn't be this way or no other way, just like the caterer you're saying. She has now discovered you can actually cater online. There's a client I'm coaching now in my Monetize Your Skills program who he's a caterer, and she was a stay-at-home mom, and now I've been able to plant those seeds in her to understand that she carries value. And that soup she's been cooking for her husband for free for 10 years, she's now making money on it, off of it, online. And she doesn't even have a kitchen, industrial kitchen, nothing. She's operating from her small kitchen in her house. We need to be open to try to pivot. A lot of people, especially women, we treat our businesses like it's our baby. It's like I can't hand somebody my baby. It's precious to me. No, a business is an entity separate from you, separate from, it's in abroad. Like I lived abroad for like 7 years and I ran my business there. Right. It's a different entity on its own. It has nothing to do with me. So if you look at it that way, to say in this entity, me now, if I'm going somewhere and I see a blockade, am I going to, you know, hit it deliberately, or am I going to pivot? So we need to always be open to pivoting. That's one thing that I would always encourage people. It's not one thing. There are multiplicity of things that you can do. Our potential is very, very vast. You need to always be open to that fluidity. When you look at your circumstance, you walk through.
So lifelong tips that you both have shared, and you know, we can play back this time and again to remind ourselves as we go along in business. Thank you so much. We've been talking with Monfik Ryan Abu. She's a life sync expert and founder, Ryan Spires Consulting Limited. We've also been talking with Ugochukwu Omeogu, premium business strategist, mentor, and founder, Marignos Consulting and Mentoring. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate
for coming on the program.
Thank you, Bukola. Thank you, Geoffrey.
Thank you, Geoffrey.
There's more building to come on the program. This time we dig into the creative sector. Stay with us for this important conversation. We'll be right back.
In brief with Coyote, we have joining us Chude Jideonwo, who is the host with Chude. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
So, with Chude.
Yes, with Coyote.
With Coyote on the morning brief. And Bukola and Jeffrey. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
You're 40.
Yes, for the whole country knows that I'm 40.
They must know. How does it feel to be 40?
I've wanted to be 40 for a long time.
Was that like a dream for you, a life ambition?
I've always wanted to be older. Always wanted to be older. Also, my youth took too long. You know, my 20s took too long because I started working early. So 21, 22, I'm just like, can we get older already? You know, I stopped calling myself a young person immediately I turned 30. Like, I'm just like, no, I want to be old. So yes, I was very happy to finally be 40.
That's actually a very interesting journey you have. Looked like you grew old too fast in some sense, and was that a lot of burden? I know a lot of firstborns would tell you that you lastborns you enjoyed. I mean, you became an adult at 35. I became an adult at maybe 12. I was already doing, you know, grown-up stuff. So was that, how do you walk through that experience? Do you see it as a burden? Do you see it as a blessing or a mix? How is it for you?
Oh, certainly a blessing, without a doubt. As I was saying to somebody yesterday, that I didn't like school. I didn't enjoy school because I was impatient to get into the real world. I just felt this school is just a process to go and start life. So I wanted to start life as early as I could. So doing things very early, being an adult very early, all of those things, I was very happy to do them. I was quite a weird child. But I really wanted to just go into the world and do things.
Yeah. Wow. Well, for some of us, we want to get young again.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, the age is coming too fast. I wonder if you feel that way. But it's interesting, you know, watching your journey, Chude, knowing that, you know, you started from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
I recall your days with New Dawn, with Fumi Yoda, and now you're a media entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, Chude, a lot of people are watching you, particularly some of us, your colleagues, with admiration.
Thank you.
You know, that you're standing alone and standing strong.
Thank you.
Share with us some of those tips that make you confident as a media entrepreneur, 40.
I guess the first thing that makes me confident is time and experience. So my very first few years as an entrepreneur, I was very scared. I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. Like, I only became an entrepreneur because that was the only way to do the things I wanted to do. But I mean, it took a while. We formed our first company, myself, Debola, and Emilia, when I was 19. And I didn't start full-time entrepreneurship until when I was 24. And only because the last company I was working for, a media company, was owing me salaries. And at that point, I said a prayer and said, you know what, maybe I should do this full time and I should trust God. And it was a scary time. I spent time with a lot of my mentors, Bukola Dubi, Tara Jotoye, I think Steve Babaeko, just frightened. I'm like, I've always had a job at the same time as being an entrepreneur, and now I want to quit this job because, of course, I was still doing the job even when they were owing me salaries. I wanted to quit this job and focus, you know. And I was only able to do it. I did a compromise because I was going to do my master's degree at the Pan Atlantic University, where I ended up teaching later. And I said, okay, well, it's a full-time master's, so I have to quit my job to do it. So that's kind of the fail-safe I had in my head. But I'm one of those people that was very scared to be an entrepreneur. So it's after a while of seeing success, after a while of creating systems. So the fear made me create systems. And so things like, so one of the things I always say in this country is I've never owed a salary in my life. And why? Is because I was so afraid of failing, I would save operational expenses of 2 years ahead. So that there's never a time when if there's no clients, I'm stuck. So things like that are what fear leads to. But I didn't do it, I did it afraid. It's a cliche, but I did it afraid.
But I listened to an interview you did, and that same fear shook you, literally.
Right.
Which brought a different kind, let me use the word, a different kind of Chude, that now spreads joy.
That's so powerful, yes.
Across literally, I don't know what you do that whenever I sit with your guests, most of the time they end up crying. I don't know what to exude at the end of the day. But maybe for those who are not familiar with that story, in concise form, in a brief moment, you could also share what fear did to you and how fear repositioned you in that sense. Because some people, I watched a film, I think it's Devil's Advocate, one of those movies, said fear either makes you focus or makes you fold. You became focused even further.
Yeah. But first I folded. But first I folded. 2016, long story short, I was going, so for the first time in our business life, for the first time in my life, I saw myself failing. First time in our business life. So that 2-year buffer that we always used to have, for the first time since in 10 years or 11 years of business, we had to touch it because clients were not spending. We were not winning new accounts. All kinds of things were happening. And so my sense of self scattered, cratered, destroyed. And so I folded. That's when I fell into a depression. And then I was diagnosed with clinical depression. So it wasn't just depression as something we say on social media, but I was diagnosed with it. And it was the things that I learned coming out of that depression. When I came out of it, I became, as I said in my book that's coming out in September, I became born again. I'm not born again the way we know it, but it's like you faced your greatest fear, which was the fear of failure, which was the fear of poverty. I faced that greatest fear. I realized that I could survive it. I realized that I had the tools inside myself to survive even the adversity I feared the most. So when I came out, I was on an urgent mission to share what I had learned with as many people as I could. And that is what eventually led to my show. And that's what led to, so some people have always been surprised, how did you turn your back on working in politics? How did you resign as CEO of Red Media Africa? Those things were easy because I had faced something that I would never have thought I could have faced. It completely changed my life.
Oh, there are those who will describe you as visionary, even revolutionary. Some just say, this guy is crazy. I mean, you chose to do with Chude at a time when people said, no, people don't watch things like this. You're going to fail. You maybe have 2 views from friends and families at the end of the day. But now that is one of the top shows on the continent. You found a way to tell stories.
Yes.
Jeffrey said, we don't know what you do to your guests, so they end up spilling everything.
Yeah.
Maybe your vulnerability makes them see that, oh, I can be vulnerable with this person. And now you're doing another crazy thing.
Yes.
So what's going on exactly with
Let me
this
tell
talk
you.
concert? I'm not sure I've seen that before.
I've not seen it here before.
So do you see yourself as crazy, sir?
I do. Let me tell you, I woke up on Tuesday and I thought you were mad. Because I thought, first of all, the idea of a talk concert, literally just woke up one morning and said, I'm going to do this. This is what it's going to be called. This is what I'm going to do. No models on the continent for this. No, there was no, I hadn't gone and reached out to sponsors and thought, okay, this is something you're going to sponsor. Nothing. Just, and I thought to myself, how crazy it is. I'm looking at the back end and I'm seeing our VVIP tickets selling out. And I'm thinking, actually, the VVIP tickets were the first thing to sell out. You know, and I'm thinking, it's crazy that I even thought this was possible. Crazy that I even thought this was possible. So, yes, I've always done crazy things. You know, my mentor, Mwabudu, interviewed me this year and said, you know, the problem with crazy things is that maybe you first do it and other people enjoy the benefits, so people stop doing it. But I can't not do crazy things. I can't physically not do them. Like, I can't do the typical thing. If the way we say it in Christianese, I'm not called to do typical things. And there is a burning hunger in me. Like, I can't rest. The last 4 years have been very difficult for me because we made a strategic decision to do nothing but with Chude. I said no to interviews, I said no to book deals, I said no to events, I said no to speaking opportunities, because we said for 5 years, we just focused on Chude. That was the most difficult 5 years of my life because ideas were popping in my head. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. And we said we're not going to go outside Nigeria for 5 years. All our content was going to be Nigerian. I wanted to build a deep connection with the Nigerian audience. I want to understand why they buy, how they buy. You know, I didn't just want to depend on sponsors, on patronage. I wanted to understand the audience. Difficult because my head. And so once I got the release in my spirit to do this event, I'm like, I was sorry, Elijah Law. And so that song, that popular song. So I've always, and with Chude Life has been burning in my spirit since 2020. I watched Oprah do her Life Vision 2020 tour. And I said, I want to do this on the continent. I want to do this on the continent. And I decided to do it.
You're indeed crazy.
I am.
Because you can think of a music concert. You can think of a theater concert.
Yes. Comedy.
Yes. Broadway.
Yes.
But a talk concert.
The promoters are like, let's make this music based. I'm like, if we're making it music based, then we are doing what everybody else is doing. I might as well fund their show. Crazy.
So, Jeffrey has touched on it, Kade has touched on it. I wonder if it is that crazy part of you or another maverick part of you that makes your guests spill the beans whenever they're talking with you, that makes them cry. I mean, I believe you've also cried with your guests on your show.
Yes, I have.
Talk to us about that part of you that makes your guests just become human, even though the cameras are on.
For the talk concert.
I think people should certainly bring tissues to that talk concert. Like, they should just bring it for this Sunday, April 27. I can imagine how emotional it's going to be. I was rehearsing yesterday we have an orchestra, you know, and I was shedding tears, you know, and I was discussing with one of the guests doing our promo, and we're already shedding tears. I'm like, wait, we are just recording promo. You're already crying. What's going to happen on Sunday? Now, of course, you're my colleague. Channels is my home, so you know this, that I was hosting Robbie Minds. And one day, I don't know who was interviewed, I think it was Two-Face Idibia. For some reason, he's stuck in my head. And I was prying into his life. And I didn't feel comfortable doing it. And it wasn't because I thought anything was wrong with, that's our job, you have to ask questions. But I thought, this is not what I'm called to do. And so I did something that was rare at the time, and I went and I called Ebuka Obiuchendu. I went to dinner with him, and I said, you know what, I think I should step down as host of Robbie Minds. I think you should be the host of Robbie Minds. I feel like it's another way I should show up on TV, but I don't know how yet. You know, and it was the right time for him. It was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. And so when it came time to do with Chude, I knew. I went to ask those same questions, but I realized the difference was that I wanted it to speak to people's hearts and minds. I wanted to speak to their spirits. And so I tell people the same thing I was doing at Robbie Minds, which is asking piercing questions, doing follow-up, but now the intention is different. And that's because I, as a person, I'm deeply curious about the human spirit. When I see a person, the first question that pops into my head is he happy? Is she happy? This is why I've not tweeted since 2021. I don't want to pretend like I'm a saint or I'm this thing, but it is just what it is. I can't lie about it. And so I'm always that's why I don't go out a lot, because I'll be carrying people's emotions and energies around me. And so my show, I think that's what people sense on the show. I mean, it can sound like woo-woo, but it's spirit to spirit. I think they can sense that I genuinely am interested in the answers they are given. And that is why I'm also, so it's not I'm also emotional. I remember the Adame interview. She was crying, I was crying. She's like, what is wrong with me? The late Adame, God rest her soul. I'm like, what is wrong with me? The tears were all over the place. I remember Pastor Itwa was on my show talking about his late wife, Ibidu Godola, and he was comforting me because I was so touched by, his experiences. So the human spirit, our capacity to endure adversity, our capacity to suffer, to enjoy, to laugh, to cry, all of those things are deeply important.
Apparently, it looks like a lot of us are masked, or let's use the African word, masquerades in that sense, because you're behind, something is in front,
yes.
And yet so you've been able to find a way to take out that and say, breathe.
That's exactly
so. What should we be expecting this Sunday? Let's get to the details.
Thank you. So April 27th, this Sunday at the Palms in Lekki, we have Chimamanda Adichie. We called it, I put up a post with her on Monday, our homecoming. This is her first major event since the release of Dream Camp.
She doesn't need a helicopter this time.
And speaking of helicopters, I have a big announcement tomorrow. Speaking of helicopters.
Don't worry. The cameras are down, Chude. Go ahead. We'll not tell anybody.
We can't say it today. We're on a, but I have a big announcement of a big guest tomorrow. By the time you hear helicopter, big guest, you understand tomorrow. So we have Chimamanda Adichie, Funke Akindele, Bovi Uboma, Falz the Bad Guy, and Pastor Jerry Eze of the NSPPD, What God Cannot Do Does Not Exist. I'm interviewing them live on stage. Full interviews, live on stage. The audience is there. They're going to ask questions, the tears, the goosebumps, all live. And I have two panels of some of the brightest creatives. I have Kiki Taoma, Moses Bliss, who has never done an interview as far as I know, Tenny Makanaki, who we announced this week, Ruth Kadiri, somebody else I shouldn't be forgetting, Hawa Lawal, and finally Vicky James. They're all going to be live, being interviewed about how they survive the fast pace of life today, the masquerade thing, how do you present a public and a private face, and how do you manage the tensions of social media. So honest conversations live, no cuts, no rehearsal, no remove this from the promo. Yeah. Live conversations that are life-affirming.
Amazing.
I'm so excited.
Wow, that is a lineup.
We're proud.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excited for you.
We have to anchor at this point, but the journalism is thinking, is that announcement tomorrow, is it related to a near helicopter miss or a helicopter mishap, someone who was involved, or a pilot? I'm just thinking all around.
Or
wait, you have to wait.
Is it related to maybe a Mrs. Chude?
You have to wait.
Because you said you always find out if people are happy. So people want to know, are you happily married?
Thank you.
No, I'm not married. I'm not married.
No, it will soon come to the club.
Yeah, exactly. So when I'm ready, I will join.
Chude, we have to thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you.
I wanted to come. When my people said, do media tours, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do my favorite shows. And the Morning Brief is one of my favorite shows. No lying. I love you guys. I love the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to look forward to on Sunday. If you've not got your ticket, absolutely get it right now, and hold your tissue as well. But hey, get ready for it.
With towel, actually.
Exactly. Chude, Jideonwo, thank you so much for your time on the show.
Thank you.
Whew, we survived. We didn't cry today, but maybe not on Friday. We'll go on a quick break now. When we return, we have an amazing lineup for you of a child, someone else doing great stuff on the big screen as well. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We're not quite done with the creative sector yet. This time we're Going into Nollywood, we're exploring the exploits of one of your favorite movie directors. Niyi Akimolayo joins us on the program. He's the CEO, Anthill Studios is right here in our Lagos studio. And we have Nollywood young creative actress, Temisola Ajamolaya. Hi, Temi.
Hello.
How do you feel being described as Nollywood actress?
I'm happy. I'm happy to be described as a Nollywood actress.
Fantastic. And we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
So we're going to come to you, Temi, shortly, but let's start with Niyi. Of course, we know you for your films. We've seen Set Up. We've seen a number of your movies. But this time you're doing your first Nollywood series for children, and it has laugh track underneath. I found time to look at, just a few minutes of it yesterday, and I'm like, oh, when last did we see laugh track production in Nollywood? Maybe way back. So what's the inspiration for this, and of course, the idea behind Temi and the Laba Laba Band?
All right, thanks. And it's good to be back on the show.
Yeah.
Again.
Same seat.
Same seat, actually.
Yeah.
And I think I did mention, what was coming the last time you came. And one of the things people do not know or they get to discover about me is that when I started out, my core interest was children entertainment. I started out first as an animator. I wanted to make Disney movies. Those were the things I cared about then. But I realized that there was no one doing it. It didn't feel like there was a market for it. But I refused to accept that because I knew that they were kids, and these kids were watching stuff on Disney, they were watching stuff on Nickelodeon. And we got to a point at Anthill Studios where we said, hey, we need to go back to some of the original things that we lined up as a studio that we wanted to do. And one of it was children entertainment. And that's why we're doing it. There is a gap that has to be filled, and Anthill has always been that studio that would always set the pace, lead before everyone catches up. So that's why we're doing it.
All right, so let me come to Temi now. We'll get to you now to talk about how challenging it is to work with children. But let's come to Temi. Temi, you're also Temi in the series.
Yes.
How much of Temi is in Temi?
A lot of Temi is in Temi because, first of all, I sing. I love singing. And Temi just really connects with Temi because our character, our visual expressions, how Temi is meant to be is practically how I am. When I read the description of the character, I knew that was me. I knew that was the one with a sharp tongue. I knew that was the one that will just talk and then, just say whatever I want. Get in trouble, get out of trouble. It was just fun being myself and being that character.
So how challenging was it for you to, bring out the Temi in Temi, knowing that this time around, you had to bring on your A game?
It wasn't challenging at all because Temi is Temi. I am Temi. So I was practically myself. There was hardly anything I actually had to change, except for the jumpy, bubbly person that I'm not really all the time, but it was practically the same, I'd say.
Beautiful. How old are you, Temi? You are not at that age where you can't tell us your age, right? But you can tell us right now. How old are you, Temi?
Yeah, I'm 12 years.
You're 12 years. So let me tell you this. This is the you this is a person that a lot of adults wanted to be when they were your age. So you're living a lot of people's dreams. You're outspoken. You are like the main character in that sense. So on behalf of all the adults, I want to thank you for living that dream. I want to ask you how it was casting. Really, because I don't know how difficult it will have been, but I'm sure you were looking out for something. So how did you know that, oh,
these are the right people?
Temi, by the way, I know it's Temisola, that's how your name is said, but you're
Temi
Temi in the series. How did you know this is a person, this is a person?
So two things. First, how did we even come up with the show? So early last year, we lined up 4 different ideas. I was very stubborn about the fact that I was at least going to do one. Interestingly, this wasn't even one of those ideas. We had a fashion kids show, we had a sitcom with a family. We had so many things we had on the table. And then one day, our mom happens to be the production designer at Anthill Studios. So she played something on her phone, just joking, like, look at my little girl singing. And I heard it, and I was like, wait, play that thing again. They're like, what do you mean that's your little girl singing? So I said, I don't believe it. You know, bring the girl to the studio. I want to hear her sing. And we brought her to the studio. We put the mic on her, and I heard the voice. And that was it. It was like, okay, I think I know the show I'm going to do. I'm going to do a music show about a kid who saves her mother's restaurant, you know, from grandmother's restaurant from collapsing by starting a band. Everything just lined up. Coincidentally, we had done a film, Mikolo, that had Boniface, who is the Boniface character. That's Finya Shenuga, very brilliant kid. And I always knew we wanted to do something with him again. So we know we had 2 characters. Already. And then we reached out. Staninze used to do this really beautiful program where he, you know, works with kids and he trains them over the summer holidays. And we reached out to him and said, hey, give us some of your kids and let's audition. And that was how we got Brian Ndukwe, fantastic. He plays Barry in the show, Kyra Bashir, he plays Mina on the show. And, you know, it started expanding. We had Joshua, Ame, and, you know, some of them had a bit of training. But because we knew that they hadn't done this sitcom formula, we spent a whole month just rehearsing, figuring it. We were also learning from them. And people are surprised whenever I say this, but I had it way easier working with these kids, you know, and I've worked with everyone in the industry. I've worked with the biggest stars in the industry. The reason is that because the kids are doing the things they want to do, they are the stars of the show. Right. They are not some child to a dying mother in some Nollywood epic where they're all surrounded with a bunch of adults and they're intimidated. They own the show. I mean, you've seen the show. The setting, everything is them. It made it very easy. They knew the script more than we did. You know, they added, when you watch the show, half of some of the things you're doing, they were improvising it themselves. It wasn't us. So if you work with kids on stuff that is made for them, trust me, it's a secret, you know, but you're going to get excellent results even than working with adults.
Ooh, like I can see the first episode is live on YouTube. Yes, the Rent Reaper Locomotes. It's beautiful, again, to see you doing this with other kids. We'll bring some of your fellow actors, colleagues on very soon. But what should we expect from this? Because some will say what you're doing is groundbreaking, it's landmark. Okay, those are not big terms.
It's ginormous.
You know.
We tend to use big words on the show.
Exactly. Even the kids know the big terms better than the adults. So how has the reception been, particularly from your mates in school? I imagine you're a celebrity now of sorts. How has it been?
Nothing has really changed. You just get eyes. Oh my God, you're a celebrity. Wow, you're on TV. Wow, I can see you over there. Wow, you're over there. You're over there. But
she's being modest.
I know, right?
But it's really awesome to be known by people, to be seen, and then seen for what you love. Seen for acting, seen for singing. It's really fantastic.
You know, tell me, I can see the bigger picture beyond this. So for you and, you know, your friends who are giving you the attention now, how hopeful are you that this is going to be an alternative to the Thundermans and the other, you know, shows that we watch on Nickelodeon? So talk to us about that.
Okay, so at first I really didn't see, but now I'm getting lots of comments that it's like Nickelodeon, and then looking back at it and having to like watch the whole thing, and then going back to a couple of shows that I watched maybe like 3 years ago, I found out that the difference is not so much. The difference is not so much. The fun, the vibes, the colors, the difference is not so much between the Nickelodeon that we used to, or we still watch, and what we did.
And it's beautiful because you are with a man who does animation as well. That's why I said I think you're onto something great. Yeah. It's groundbreaking, landmark. But hey, we have to invite others on. So we're going to be bringing up Brian and Kyra to the stage. They're also part of Temi and the Laba Laba Band. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Brian and Kyra. How are you guys doing? You guys are so cool. Is there a way I can join? Or
Yes, you can join. You can be the lousy customer.
Beautiful, you know, hood as well. You know
the
be
hoodie.
like members of the cast also.
And I hope these mercs are available for, other kids who want to get it, because I think it's going to be a great
So we have the website, timmyandlabalaba.com. We're going to be making some announcements soon on people who want to purchase the mech. But, it's important to first grow a bit of a fan following, before we do that. So, yes, there's lots of mech, actually. Bags, stationaries, and all the likes, coming.
I can't help but want to slot in one. The set. And you're known for amazing sets. In 30 seconds, talk to us about that, how you brought that set to life.
Oh, so the brief was very simple. Give us a very colorful African kitchen, but the design is for it to work as a sitcom. We need to see both the kitchen and the restaurant all together. And it has to be a restaurant that is cool enough for kids to perform. That was the brief. And they executed. Shout out to the Antil production design team.
I need to give you guys a high five. I need to feel cool right now. So there you go.
Thank you for bringing our set to life. We've been talking with Nia Kimolayo, CEO, Anthill Studios. He's right here in our Lagos studio. And of course, Temisola Jamolaya, 12-year-old amazing vocal actress. And of course, we have Brian
and Kyra.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
There's one more stop to make right here on your Perfect Morning Starter. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back with those kids. Beautiful to watch, so check them out as much as possible. Let's check out another artist this time, Jideonwo Bello Adelami. She's a visual artist, thread embroidery artist, acrylic medium artist, a lot of artists in her name. Jideonwo, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Good morning.
You embody literally every part of it, from thread to visual to acrylic. All of this. Maybe you tell us why you're just embodying this as much as possible and what brought you into this particular space.
Thank you so much. First of all, my name is Jideonwo Bello. I'm a visual artist, a painter, and an embroiderer. So, like you said, I embodied a lot in the art industry, yes. Well, I wouldn't say something brought me into it, but I would rather say it has been a gift. So for me, since I was a child, I've been drawing and painting, but it's a career I never dreamed of pursuing. But as God will have it, I gained my path while I was in the university, in the Polytechnic studying mass communication. So along the line, I found my strength in embroidery. Though it was during my higher national diploma program while I was about to present my project that I came across the embroidery stuff. Though it was derived from my craft as a child, knitting, yarning, and all that. So I never knew I could even do it, but as God will have it, I am here today, a female painter and a renowned artist as well. Thank you.
So how enterprising is it for you, or how viable, that's the word now? Because when we talk to artists, most of the time we try to find out exactly who is buying and who are their audience and all of that, because I feel sometimes, music is an all-comers thing, let's say sports and all-comers, but there are certain kinds of arts that it looks like it's for the exclusive preserve. So walk us through how you navigate that space in terms of pushing out your craft through enterprise.
Pushing out my craft has been kind of technical in the beginning because, when we have a lot of artists out there, from renowned artists, from the artists we've known for since we are children, to our set of artists in this generation, it wasn't easy anyway. And during my years in school, all I've been hearing from my lecturers and colleagues are, take your works to gallery, you will make sales there and all that. But thanks to social media now, it has been kind of not so easy, but because I kept pushing, I kept working, I put myself there through my social media, telling my family and friends, mouth to mouth selling kind of. And as God will have it, it has been great. It has been putting food on my table. It has been taking care of my family, helping my husband out of it and all that. So it wasn't easy. But I would say the young artists have a lot to do because there are lots of artists out there who are seeking their audience. And if you don't work hard, you don't put yourself there, no one will see you. No one will see you.
So some of the things you've done is actually showing on the screen. So let's walk through some of them and how long it took you. I remember, let's talk about this girl and this particular picture. What informed this particular creation? I wish it could stay, but maybe you can walk us through as many as you can see as they come.
Yeah, as it is, my embroidery, which was the first girl shown on the screen rather, is titled Self-Doubt. And it's a picture, or should I say a walk, that talks about my life as a child growing up, being the first female in the family and the only artist. It wasn't easy leaving the career you think you will have to doing arts, which was mass comm. I thought my life depended on communicating. I have to be on the screen. I have to talk to the audience and all that. I never knew that something like this could happen. So that's what brought about the artwork of that girl, this girl in particular, self-doubt. So I actually doubted myself when I transitioned into arts, you understand? It wasn't so easy. I'm more like, because I got married before I went back to school and all that. So I'm more like, will I be seen? Will I be heard? So I doubted myself a lot. And as God will have it, things started flowing in and everything became normal for me. I started exhibiting, I started showing my craft more, and a lot of artwork shown on the screen. There is this one showing presently, it's called Is Drip, and is unapologetically her title. So it's an artwork that portrays everything I'm feeling in life. More like, whatever I do it because I love it. And being a Muslim, covering and all that, it hasn't been easy for me in the midst of my people, you understand. Most of the people talk me out of painting, like, you can do more of an Islamic art and all that. You can do more of art that doesn't have to do with figure. But there's something about the figures, something about the faces of humans, especially women in the society, that speaks to me. I see through people's eyes. I feel their pain, I feel their joy, I feel their loneliness, and I feel their empathy in a way. So it's made me want to explore more of the female faces, the struggle they go through, the thing they wish they had because of the family they come from and all that. But as it is, well, I just love what I'm doing, and thank God for that.
And I can see how your art, mirrors life through a gender lens. All of your creative works that we've shown so far, and even those on your social media platforms, are about women. And, it's also accompanied with some poetry. I can read from one of your works. You depict what you're trying to say in poetry. You say, she stands in brush strokes, bold and wild, a tempest cloaked in colors styled, no borrowed pose, no painted grace, just fire and thunder on her face. Talk to us about this combination of, brush on canvas with poetry and your creative process.
But the thing is, as it is, the society we have now is kind of gender-based society in which women are seen as a nobody. Women are not being heard the way they should. And as a child, I went through these processes from my father, I would say, because I could remember growing up, I had a lot of passion to be seen, to be heard. I want to be free as a bird. I want to do what I like. But each time I go to my father to, inquire about things like, Daddy, I want this, can I do this? My father will be like, no, you're a female. What we hand you is in the kitchen. Your place is in the kitchen, you understand? I remember when I was transitioning from mass comm to arts, my father was like, you have not finished mass communication, you want to do arts. Who does that? You're a female, for crying out loud. It is kitchen that you will hand, you understand? And I'm like, that word actually pierced through my heart. I'm more like, because I am number 9 from my family and the first female child. I wonder why I couldn't be heard, I couldn't be seen. Why can't my father understand that a girl child can also be useful to the society? A girl child can be a president, a girl child can be a doctor, you understand? But from that day on, I started working harder, putting myself there. And in my work, I put all these things I've been through as a child, all this negligence and neglecting, all this not being heard and seen. I put them into my colors, which made the colors I use to be bold colors. You can see they're all one colors, from red to orange to yellow and orange. So it brought out the passion in me. If the color is too calm, I won't be comfortable.
If you can hear me. Fantastic work. Yes, fantastic work. I know that if we allow you, you're going to keep just telling us exactly how much you love what you do, and we're grateful you were able to break the barrier to be your own and own your own at the end of the day, which is why we're seeing what this is really all about. But we wish you the very best, and we're super proud of what you're doing. Jideonwo Bello Adelani, visual artist, thread embroidery artist, acrylic medium artist, joining us virtually. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it.
We'll be back in a moment. Join us again.
That's been the show for today, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kayode Okikelu.
We're back again tomorrow for the home stretch. I am Bukola Koka.
Sunrise Daily is up next at the top of the hour. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Bye-bye.